Okay. You already know what it is. We talking about the keys to success. All right, bet. Let me hit you with it. Thing number one. It's not even complicated when you really think about what it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. Let me tell you why I think it's so simple. So it's really one thing that everybody got in common who's seen as exceptionally outstanding at what they do or what they end up getting known for, whether it be one thing or several things. And this is the main thing that I noticed. All of us have this one thing in common: discipline. You just stick with stuff. Like, you actually come up with the plan, right? These are the steps. You got to come up with an idea of who you want to become, right? But that's just the beginning. And it seems like a lot of people start going astray whenever they start realizing, oh, this is going to take some work. Oh, it's ups and downs in this jump. You hit one of them lows and it's like, oh, it doesn't work. You want to give up. That ain't what this is, bro. All this stuff is a long journey. It don't matter what path you take in life, what career path, what social type of circles you want to end up in and all that stuff. It got to start in your mind first. And then you can come up with the plan as you go along. You come up with your idea of what you think is going to be like, right? And more than anything, you shouldn't be able to describe it in words as much as feel how it's supposed to feel. That's the key. You got to know how to feel in advance. So feel like you already there. So whenever you're feeling like you already there, you just basically have to imagine how it feels to be where you want to be, right? And then if you feel like, all right, that resonate with where I want to exist at, then bet. From then forward, all you have to do is keep going. So let me give you an example, right? Say I want to be a carpenter. I want to be one of the most renowned carpenters that exist, okay? If I want to do that, it might make sense for me to, first of all, think about what it's going to take to be a successful carpenter, okay? I'm going to have to be able to be physically fit. I'm going to have to know how to use power tools. I'm going to need to know how to finesse things sometimes on some creativity stuff just to make things work, okay? I'm going to have to recognize all these different things that it takes to be a carpenter. That's just where it starts, because there's a whole bunch of miniature skill sets within any given skill set. This is what you got to pick up on. You have to know how to do the things that it takes. You got to have the characteristics that it takes in order to become outwardly successful in whatever direction you want to go in. Now, when you're doing this, you don't even have to really know or feel like you even know that stuff right now, right? Because you know that you can figure out how to do anything given enough time. Believe in yourself enough and you can figure out anything. You can go pro in whatever you want to, but know that everybody has day one of their development process. You don't start off the best at what you do. Like, I don't care who you are or what it is, bro. You have to figure out what works as you get to know yourself better. So anyways, whenever you're doing these things, you have to figure out yourself throughout it all and the position that you have to play in it. So it's not going to be that you got it all figured out at one given time. And it's definitely not going to be that everything goes right, quote unquote, right. Because you're going to have to figure out what works and what doesn't. And a lot of the time you don't know what doesn't work until you try it. So you have to be okay with failing. And this is where everybody diverges, right? You got the 1% of people who, or I would say around 1%, who really care for themselves, think for themselves, and take actions and take responsibility for their reality. And then there's the rest of the people that we might call sheep, right? Sheep, all they do is follow. They looking for some other point of reference for what direction to go in. They looking at what other folks are doing, talking about them more than paying attention to themselves, and that type of person, right? We don't want to be a sheep. We want to be an eagle, right? Eagles don't fly with nobody else. Can't nobody fly as high as them. It's like, bro, you want to either be an eagle or a chicken, really. That's really the good comparison. It's like you want to stay on the ground and barely be able to get off, or you want to be able to soar and fish and know how to exist in all environments. But anyways, so whenever you're figuring out these things as a carpenter, right, you're going to reach points to where it's like, dang, it just don't seem like it's working. Your work going to slow down. You're not going to be getting that many leads. You might have some customers that complain about something you do. You might lose money sometimes in the beginning, all type of stuff. You got to be resilient enough to withstand all the bullshit that come with whatever path you take. Because I promise you, it don't matter what direction you go in. It ain't going to be all peaches and cream, bro. It's going to be challenges. That's because this whole thing that we're doing is playing out a story. It's like a TV show. You wouldn't even watch a TV show if there wasn't a problem. There's literally a requirement that it has to have some type of conflict in order for something to get resolved in the end. You'll never see a film of any kind that doesn't have a conflict in it. It doesn't have problems. And shoot, the best ones be having a lot. That's why like people like that drama. So anyway, you like that drama not only from an external thing, but you like it internally too. Because don't ever forget that you're a chaos being. So whenever you're looking at all this stuff, you got to think about what it's going to take to get to that point and realize that some BS come with whatever career path or love path or whatever. You're going to have to eat some shit. Like that just is what it is. Sometimes you're going to have to eat it, and you're just going to have to deal with it in order to keep going with what direction you want to head in, because eating shit is temporary, right? It's not going to last that long. So you can have these times where you're going hard and maybe you're just not getting the fruits of your labor. And you're like, bro, what the heck? It's just not working. But I promise you, you stick with it long enough and you'll be outstanding in whatever field you choose way faster than anybody else. You'll reach financial stability, financial freedom way quicker than anybody else when you're depending on yourself and you're genuinely getting to know what role you're supposed to play for yourself in your life. That's not something that comes naturally. You have to really develop and keep yourself disciplined. Like I said, you have to really be holding yourself accountable. You have to be honest with yourself. If you know you need to stop eating that shit, you need to stop eating that shit. If you need to start exercising, you need to start exercising. Shoot, I'm sweating right now because I just got done exercising. I exercise twice a day because I know how important it is to be disciplined. So I'm sticking with these things because I like the results that I get. You have to recognize what results you're going to get before you even start to some extent. But you're not going to understand the big picture thing until you actually play the story out. So you got to be okay with some things being uncertain, but you got to keep your faith. And do not ever tell yourself that something's not working, because if you're working on it, it's working. You just got to keep going. I promise you, it's that simple. The only difference between the wildly successful people and the people who are mediocre is that the people that are really wildly successful stick with what they do, and they made themselves the best at it. They made themselves one of the best. All you have to do is just keep doing it. You're gonna figure it out. When you have the intention to figure it out, whatever it is, you're gonna figure it out. Don't you doubt yourself for one moment. And you better freaking believe that it makes it a little easier for most people whenever they find somebody who can relate to what they got going on. And I'll tell you one thing, bro. The only person who understands being an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. So, I mean, if you want to be an entrepreneur, just know what's going to come with you're going to have to be willing to tolerate a lot of risk, and you're going to have to be willing to fail a lot. Maybe you won't fail that much. Maybe you'll be one of the few entrepreneurs who never fail. But don't be surprised if something don't go your way and then you have to figure something out on the fly, because it takes a lot of creativity to hold yourself accountable and really have control over your reality. But whenever you're doing these things, you're going to have to make sure that once you get all of that stuff, once you achieve the great success and all that stuff, you better give back. You better pour back into others. You better have some children and give them the knowledge or something like that, whether you are talking on the internet like me, or you having kids and teaching them, or teach somebody else kids, or whatever it is, donations to actually beneficial charities and nonprofits and whatnot, or maybe start your own, humanitarianism, etc. Because you're going to figure it out fast if you go the entrepreneurship route. You're going to be broke at first, probably, but you're going to get rich way faster than anybody else. So if you really want to, and I ain't even saying you got to be wanting to get rich. If you just want financial stability, like I said earlier, financial stability is really the goal. All that excess, the luxuries, all that stuff, the jewelry, the cars, the multiple properties, all that stuff is cool, but you ain't even got to have all that. All you need to really be able to have is a house that's taken care of, because you got to have somewhere to sleep. That's number one. Shelter is number one in survival. And then clothing and food. And shoot, romance, really, but any kind of love, whether it's brotherly love or sisterly love or romantic love or whatever it is, everybody needs these things. So make sure that you don't neglect yourself and your actual needs while you're doing this, because some people get so caught up in chasing success and career oriented that they forget, bro, you still a person with basic needs, and all that career stuff always gonna be there. So if you need to take a few days off, take a few days off. You need to go on vacation, especially if you can afford it. But if you can't, then go in a vacation in your mind and just take some time and really think. That's why I recommend meditation, because you're going to have to at least be able to clear your mind for a few moments a day when you got all of these thoughts you're trying to sort through, because you're trying to get to know yourself, get to know your industry, and take care of others. Probably if you're well enough into adulthood, you probably got somebody else depending on you. It's a lot. And the only way to balance all of this is by having the discipline to stick with what it is that you said you're going to do. Because if you take 25 steps or 25 miles down the road and then you turn around and say, I'm going to go back home, you're not going to get any closer to the destination, and then all you did was waste 25 miles. I ain't saying you got to stick with something if you see that, okay, this ain't really for me. But what I'm saying is you got to have that commitment aspect. If you got fear of commitment, whether it's with people, whether it's with your career, it's pretty obvious in your life. Just look at your life and what you've experienced. Who do you come across, and how often do somebody end up exiting your life, or how often do you end up exiting somebody's life, even if they didn't do nothing wrong? You know, you got to get to know yourself. If you keep leaving your jobs and job hopping a lot, that shows that you're not really good with making commitments. So you really got to be good at committing to at least one thing. If you want financial stability and you ain't got it yet, I promise you the main reason why is because you haven't decided what you're going to be the best at. Once you decide what you're going to be the best at, you know you're not going to stop doing it. You're going to stick with it, and you're going to keep getting all these really, really tiny victories that add up to a huge achievement. Because it ain't just, oh, this one day happened and my entire life was better forever. That ain't how this works. You have to be realistic. This is a TV show we playing out, and it progresses with time. New characters get introduced. You're going to start figuring out some things. You're going to have a big aha moment, a discovery. Bro, you're going to have all that stuff, and you're going to make all of these incremental progresses, and then at some point you definitely will hit a season where it's like, oh, I'm on the gas now, and you're just gonna take off, bro. You're gonna be amazed with how much you accomplished and how quickly you can progress throughout life by being responsible, being disciplined, being goal oriented. Write yourself a schedule. If you don't have a 9 to 5 and they keep you on a schedule, you need to create a schedule for yourself. When you go to school, what they do, they maximize your potential. Why do they put you on a schedule? You know what time you need to be where and what you're gonna do when you get there. It ain't, today's just Tuesday, we're gonna wing it and go to whatever class you want. No, you have to already know, because that's how you maximize your potential, okay? You need to hold yourself more accountable for what you know you need to get your shit together in. If you know you're supposed to be doing it, and that's what it takes for you to get to the future you that you want, you got to actually do it and keep doing it. Don't just have these days where you fall off. You got to commit to being disciplined. It's really way simpler than you even would imagine. Once you figure it out, maybe you are one of the people who figured that out. It's really easy to get what you want whenever you start taking better care of yourself and granting your desires to yourself. If you want a new car, put in the work, get the money, buy a car. It is that simple once you realize that you just have to decide where you're going to focus your energy. It's like a laser beam. You're not going to burn through something as easily with a laser if it's all over the place. It ain't going to burn through. You got to focus that laser at one spot and it's going to burn through it. Easy. Do you get what I'm saying? You got to focus your energy like it's a laser. You ever heard of the term laser focus? That's what I'm talking about. You have to be able to concentrate. And that is the big key to success. I promise you. Holla.